Hi, I'm Joe Foster, the founder of Reebok, and I'm here in Australia.
Song on so many different dials.
They needed to be hungry. People looking to make a success need to be hungry. They need to take that extra step.
Joe, if you had one shot to rebuild Reebok today, knowing everything you know for this market, how would you rebuild it?
Today, markets are built on stories, and we can tell you so many stories that go from 1895 and even before, because my grandfather learned his trade from his grandfather. So if I was to rebuild a brand, I would look at the history and say, wow, we did this, we did, and I would bring all those back. So we had pivoted from being a running company to a woman's company. And we went from 9 million US dollars to 900 US dollars in 4 years. It was all to do with women. Nike stood back because they said, no, women, no, they're not to be trusted. You can't build sport on women. And this was the first thing that we gave women something that they never had before. We overtook Nike and we became number one. Here's your 10 names, but Reebok, that's the one. It's a top.
Hi, guys. So, welcome to another episode of the $1 Million Branders podcast. I am so excited for today's guest. Today, we have Joe Foster, who is the visionary co-founder of Reebok, one of the world's most iconic sportswear brands, especially growing up in South Africa. I think that this was a brand I know all my friends and I loved with all my heart. It's a global brand. It's made huge waves in the world. Every single person, I think, owns a pair of Reebok or has owned at some point in their lives. Joe, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
It's a pleasure, Justine. It really is. It's fantastic. We love this. Yes.
It's such an honor. Thank you, Joe. So Joe, tell me a little bit about your journey, because Reebok is it's a huge brand. Everyone knows it. And I know you come from quite humble beginnings. So I would love to hear it from you, how you started, how you got involved with Reebok, your vision, and how you built the company to such a global success.
Have you got 2 or 3 hours to spare?
Yes. Oh my God.
I'm sure you have. We only have 15 minutes. Let's start with my grandfather. My grandfather was also called Joe. In fact, I was born on his birthday, but
Wow.
he died in 33. I was born in 1935 on his birthday. That's why I have his name. But my grandfather was quite a visionary, and he was an influencer. He probably didn't even know the word, but he used to give his shoes to the right people. They won world records, Olympic medals, and in the 20s, he supplied the Chariots of Fire. I don't know if you know the film Chariots of Fire. Chariots of Fire. He supplied those athletes that won their gold medals, and so he was a visionary. Come to me. Well, when he died in 33, his sons, my father and uncle, they took over the company. Unfortunately, they didn't seem to have his vision. And although at that age, at my age at that time, I didn't care. I mean, I was just a young kid, and during World War II, no lies. Well, we just enjoyed life as it came along. It was only when World War II ended, we got some schooling, and I went to college. And then after college, I joined the company, the J.W. Foster Company. I joined the company. I was only there for 1 year because we had national service. It was so soon after World War II that we had to do 2 years in one of the armed forces. I did it in the RAF, so I spent 2 years there. My brother did it in the army, but he was in Germany, and he saw Adidas, and he saw Puma, And when we came back after that, we looked at our J.W. Fosters, which had been so brilliant during the first 3 decades of the 20th century, and now it was failing. It was just going out. And I had words with my father and said, look, we've got to change. Look, things are changing, and you and I, we're still making the shoes, same shoes that we made in the 1930s, and here we are now in the late 50s. Nobody listened. They didn't want anything. And all my father could say is, look, Joe, when your uncle's gone and I've gone, this company will be yours. You can do what you like with it. And I said, well, Dad, first thing, we don't want you to go. That's not the plan. But the company, the way it's going now, will be gone long before you're gone. Didn't make any difference. So in 1958, Jeff and myself, we'd gone to college. We decided we needed to learn a lot more about shoes and footwear. So we went to college, and in 1958, we decided, well, nothing's going to change here unless we move. So we moved and we set up our own company, Mercury Sports Footwear. Brilliant. Everything we needed. The good thing about going to college, and this was shoe college, was that if we needed anything, we went to college and said, where did we get this? Where did we get that? And
Yeah.
they could give us the answer. So we set up our small company, Mercury. 18 months into being Mercury Sports Footwear, our accountant said, Joe, you're doing well. You're making some money. Great. Why don't you register that name? You better register Mercury. We did, we're naive, we're young. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Well, if somebody else starts making shoes because they think that Mercury is a good name, you're going to have a fight. You don't want that. We're trying to register the name. We couldn't register the name. It was already pre-registered by British Shoe Corporation, who were a massive company. They offered us the brand because they were not using it. They offered it for £1,000. Now, £1,000 sounds like nothing today, about 2,000 US, American, Australian dollars. It's nothing.
Yes.
But it was impossible. We didn't have that money. So we said, you've got to find a new name. Okay, so we looked for a new name. And if I take you back to 1943, I'm 8 years old. We have a war. It's similar to COVID. We can go nowhere, but we had a local event. I won a local event. And my prize was a dictionary. And that dictionary was an American dictionary. It was a Webster's American Dictionary. And if you can put your mind back to 1943, an American Webster's Dictionary, it was like, where does that come from? I don't know. So let's fast forward now. I didn't get a football. I was destroyed. I didn't get a football, but I got a dictionary. Yeah. We fast forward now to 1960 because we have to find a new name. Okay, 1960, and the guy said, don't bring me one name, bring me 10. What? We've got to change it. You got 10 names. Okay, Falcon Sports. That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, Falcon Sport. And we went through the animal bird sort of thing. But I had my dictionary on the desk next to me, and I opened the dictionary, and I liked the letter R. I don't know why. I just love the letter R. So I'm thumbing through R, and I come across Reebok. Reebok, what's that? Yeah. Well, it's a small South African gazelle. We're a running company. Gazelle. Oh, that's got to be it. Put that at the top of the list. Went back to the agent and said, look, here's your 10 names, but Reebok, that's the one. It's at the top. We want that. It took 2 weeks. He took 2 weeks. He came back and said, Joe, you've got your wish. You can have Reebok. However, the registrar, in his wisdom, has said if anybody makes shoes out of Reebok skin, you can't stop them. Jeff and I looked at each other and said, that's never going to happen. We'll have Reebok. However, in his wisdom, again, the registrar said, because of that, we're going to put you in the B section of the register. Up to 3 or 4 weeks ago, we didn't even know there a register. So what did we care? We're in the B section. We've got the name. That's fine. 10 years later, the registrar came back and said, we've moved you to the A section. Does it matter? Well, yes. Now everybody knows that Reebok is a sports shoe and the animal has to come number 2. So that's how we got Reebok.
Wow. Crazy amazing. What a story. If you are enjoying this episode, if you have gotten value from this episode and it has changed your life by teaching you things, I'm going to ask you a huge favor. If you would subscribe, like, follow, and share with people so we can bring more incredible guests to the Million Dollar Branders podcast to serve you better, so you can make more money in your business, in your life, and accelerate your growth into becoming the $1 million brand that I know is possible for you. Thank you, and my greatest appreciation to you. And Joe, I mean, the history of Reebok, like every entrepreneur goes to this stage where they think we've really got something here. What was the first product that actually you launched that I'm going to say in today's age went viral, that you went, okay, we've really got something here?
Well, we had to find our space in the sports footwear area because Adidas, Puma, and a few others were in there. And so we looked for what we call white space. White space was somewhere where we could probably make a difference, not too many people there, or we could actually, and we did this in cross country, orienteering, and a few more things, rugby league, which was in the UK. But then we got to a certain point where I'm saying, we've got to go to America because that's where running was becoming big. It took a while. The first time I went was 1968. I didn't really get into the country until 1979. 11
Wow.
years. 11 years of pushing and trying and failing. We failed, and I know why we failed, because the people we went with were not hungry enough. They needed to be hungry. People looking to make a success need to be hungry. They need to take that extra step. In 1979, we got there because the guy was hungry and we had received 5 stars for our shoes from an American magazine. That was it. We got into great. Now, you talked about what really made the difference. Well, down in Los Angeles, we had a guy called Arthur Martinez, and his wife was going to these classes, coming back with her mates. They were coming back full of it. And Arnold's saying, Frankie, what are you doing? And she said, aerobics. Huh? What's aerobics? Well, we're exercising to music. Really? He went to the next class, and there he saw the instructor and 40 of the girls doing aerobics. And half of them were in sneakers, the other half were barefoot. He had a moment of like, wow, why don't we make a shoe specifically for aerobics for women, on a woman's last, in women's sizes, and in glove leather? Whilst I say I'm a shoe manufacturer and I know about shoes, I would have never chosen glove leather because glove leather just tears like a piece of paper. However,
Yes.
the beautiful thing about that was that when women put these on, it was so comfortable. This was, wow. And we're talking about America, we're talking about Los Angeles. The shoes used to break away in 4 weeks. But because we're in Los Angeles, the girls didn't care. They went out the bottom of the pair. Eventually, we got that right, and we used something more like garment leather. But the big thing is that the women loved them. And the men were looking at this, they couldn't get them. It was only done in women's sizes, on a woman's last for women. So we had pivoted from being a running company to a woman's company. And we went from 9 million US dollars to 900 US dollars in 4 years.
Unbelievable.
It was all to do with women.
There you go. Well, I'm happy we played a part in the legacy, Reebok legacy. And Joe, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
story.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Every entrepreneur faces that now or never moment. I know I have in many cases. What was that for you?
I think for me, it was we got to go into this 100%. We got to commit, because if we didn't commit to this, we could have lost that opportunity. Yeah, Adidas and Nike stood back because they said, no, women are not. They're not to be trusted. You can't build sport on women. And this was the first thing that we gave women something that they never had before. They had
Yes.
total control of a market. And the Adidas and Nike just couldn't believe it. But we overtook Adidas, we overtook Nike, and we became number one. So,
Brilliant.
all we've got to say is thank you to women, because this made, it was Jane Fonda, because Jane Fonda went out. She actually
I
bought
remember. Wow. Yes.
she bought a pair of Reeboks, and she wore them in exercise videos, and that was, you look back and you think, was this planned or was this luck?
It was the influence. Those were the real influences, actually. And
Yeah.
Joe, if you had one shot to rebuild Reebok today, knowing everything you know for this market, how would you rebuild it? Because things have changed now, and Reebok is still such an iconic brand, but how would you do it?
Well, Reebok is rebuilding now because it was sold to Adidas, and now it's been sold to authentic brands in USA. And now they're trying to, how I rebuild it is that we have a history. We can take this all the way back to 1895. Nobody else can do that. We have a tremendous, today markets are built on stories, and you
Love
have
it.
to have a story. This is our story. And we can tell you so many stories that go from 1895 and even before, because my grandfather learned his trade from his grandfather. So we have a story. So yes, today it's stories. And I think that we have so many stories. So if I was to rebuild the brand, I would look at the history and say, wow, we did this, we did, and I would bring all those back. And I think we're trying to do that now. We're getting back there. We're building.
Well, it's such a love brand, and I just want to thank you so much for your time and your energy and building an iconic legacy, because immigrating from South Africa and having that background, I love the Reeboks. I have to say that used to change color. They had the colored stitching and they would change color in the light. Those were just the coolest. So I just have to tell you, I'm a huge fan, and just thank you so much for building such a great legacy that's going to continue with your name and your stories all over it.
Keep passing on the message, because we're looking to get back to number one again. Why not?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.